Downhills are completely broken in Zwift. Gone are the days of suffering to hang on during the climb, starting the downhill, and getting a much needed breather, maybe even hopping off the bike to refill the water bottle if needed. No, now the downhills require just as much suffering as the uphill. If you've recently been dropped on a descent and yelled, "What the bleep is going on here?" like I have, stick with me as we dive in and find out why, when this happened, and the best strategies to avoid descents completely ruining your race. First though, how should the downhill work? Well, probably just as you imagine, a place to ease off and the group to remain intact. But in order to go down, we must first go up. Let's imagine you just went all out on the climb to maintain contact. You crest the climb, and now the legs are screaming for a break. Luckily, the descent is here. You can sit behind a wheel and catch your breath. You descend for 5 minutes, and the same group that crested the climb together remains intact. That's what we would expect, right? However, multiple races, I've noticed complete carnage on the road. Downhills are causing groups to fracture into small packs of 2 or 3 riders. Worse yet, riders are having to blast 500 watts just to have a chance to hang on to the lead rider in the super tuck position. This supposed time of respite has turned into all-out efforts, while the lucky leader does nothing. At the end, I will reveal how you can guarantee yourself to be this lucky rider. What's causing this is the fact that ever since Zwift released Pack Dynamics 4, only the front rider can enter the super tuck position. This results in him gaining speed quicker than the riders behind, who are left with a face full of wind. Don't think it's broken yet? Well, if you are second wheel, you are actually better off pulling out into the wind and entering the super tuck yourself. Just think about this. Is this something you would ever do in real life? Sure, you may not catch the lead rider, but I have had multiple races where I was still able to break away from the group doing 0 watts, gaining extra rest. If you can enter the super tuck, you will be doing 0 watts while those behind you are still pushing. It simply comes down to drafting, aerodynamics, or lack thereof, and Zwift's current pack dynamics. Just like any other terrain, you would expect the first rider to be completely exposed to the wind, getting no draft, and having to work the hardest to increase speed, while the riders behind gain an increasing draft benefit for each rider in front of them. In real life, even if the second rider chooses not to enter the super tuck position, he would likely take a somewhat aero position, maybe riding on the drops and dropping his head to reduce exposure to the wind. However, Zwift mechanics currently have 2 huge issues. First is that only the first rider is allowed to enter the super tuck position. This was a change with the introduction of Pack Dynamics 4, and it wasn't introduced with that reason. The goal was to reduce pack speeds, as breakaways were almost impossible to sustain because of packs all super tucking, pulling through the lead rider, and disproportionately increasing group speed. However, all changes have unintended consequences, and this one led to the lead rider having a significant advantage. The second issue is the fact that there is only 2 aero positions. Either you have no draft and therefore can super tuck, or you are in the draft and can't super tuck. There is no in between. Your avatar won't contort its body to be in a better aero position like in real life. Even though you still gain a drafting benefit, something is clearly wrong, because riders behind the leader are blasting 500 watts and still being dropped. We all love giving our opinion on what Zwift should do, so let me know in the comments below what Zwift should do to fix this issue or any other mechanics you would like improved. But in my opinion, this issue has quite a simple fix. That is, to apply different aero positions once super tuck speeds are reached. In real life, when you are riding Zone 2, you are most likely on the hoods, and we know you aren't maximizing your aerodynamics. Simply dropping your hands into the drops will save up to 20 watts at 40 kilometers an hour. And although some positions are banned by the UCI and considered dangerous, riders could choose various other positions, such as a semi-super tuck, which would provide an even greater aero advantage. I would imagine it wouldn't be too difficult for Zwift to implement. They already have the game program defining when you are in the draft and when you can super tuck. It would simply be saying, if you're above 57 kilometers per hour and in the draft, maybe apply an aero position in between the two. Another solution could be simply applying some sort of sticky draft to riders behind the super tucked rider. These would help solve the feeling of being almost impossible to hang on while still allowing riders to attack the downhill if they put in a big dig. Will Zwift fix this because of my video? My hopes aren't high, but it would certainly be a nice improvement for all riders. The best scenario is that you are the lead rider in the super tug. This is best done by starting behind the wheel before the descent starts. As the front rider approaches the descent, you should aim to push hard, pushing through the front rider and going all out for a couple of seconds. Then, you can stop pedaling and enter the super tug. Ideally, you will hit the front just as speeds reach 57 kilometers an hour, and the gradient significantly decreases. But obviously, you won't time it perfectly every time. Other riders will also be attempting this. So if you can't position yourself to be the first rider going off the front, the next best option is to be the second. The lead rider may pick up so much speed that he opens a gap, but that's okay. Just focus on the next best thing, which is still entering the super tug. If you must, use steering to find the line without another rider in front of you. If you are feeling good, you can use these strategies to get off the front and try to hold off competitors until the finish line. However, unless the route finishes shortly after the descent, the group will often come back together as the road flattens. If the group comes back together, the only difference is the lead riders can enjoy an easy pace, while the riders further back have to exert extra energy to latch back on. Now that we know what we should do, what must you avoid doing? Well, one of the worst things you can do is being mid-pack the entire descent. This will result in you constantly pushing watts to hang on, which defeats the goal of recovering on the descent. You may even find yourself having to go all out just to sit in the pack. And the worst position you can find yourself in is having nothing left, the group surging, and you're being spit out the back, left alone. If you notice a surge and fear this may happen, you must give it everything you have to hang on. If you were wondering if this is an issue on every single downhill for every single rider, no, it is not. I have noticed this to be a problem on steeper, longer descents, especially descents 10% or above, like the grade or Bologna. These two in particular seem almost impossible to keep the group together. Also, if there are 5 riders and everyone is riding at 3.0 watts per kilogram until somebody enters the super tug, it probably won't be an issue. But if a rider attacks at 10 watts per kilogram and enters the super tug, it will be extremely hard to match his speed. Finally, this is an issue more likely to be experienced by lighter riders. I am 72 kilograms and have this issue all the time, so I can only imagine how descents feel for my lighter friends. If you are a heavier rider, I'm sorry for calling this out, because chances are you may be enjoying the benefits and the extra rest. Although there are other instances, these are the main situations where descents are completely broken. Hopefully this can be fixed, but in the meantime, use these strategies in your next race and just remember to do everything you can to pull through to be the front rider gaining that extra rest. Until next time, thank you for joining.